Welcome back to ICSLand. Now we're going to be looking at a little more details on how you play the game. So as I mentioned in the introduction videos, the master of the game who runs the scenario is going to drop events into the event box. Okay, so those events might be oh, there's a neighbor coming in and he's coming with 3 volunteers and a bunch of fire extinguisher. What are you going to do with that? So that's the kind of element. So the way we are going to simulate that is that at some point during the scenario, the master of the game might drop an envelope, and this envelope will have some cards. So let's take a look at the type of cards we're going to have in these envelopes. So the blue cards have actually name of people. You can see we have Sarah here, we have Harley, we have Arlie here. So these are personnel. So the personnel cards usually would go obviously to operation or to logistic initially. We'll talk about the form later on, but logistic as a place to stack the different resources here. And the white cards represent equipment and supply. So you have a wrench, a first aid kit, your rice cooker, water, a whole bunch of caution tape, or a whole bunch of resources that logistic is also going to have to manage. So let's say that logistics now have all those cards here. Now you also have, during the scenario, as you do a quick hazard survey or neighbor assessments, you might find victims. So victims will be pre-triage because again we are focusing on how the chiefs are going to handle the situation. We're not focusing on the skills of performing triage or performing life search and rescue. So you might at some point in the scenario have, okay, here is Morpheus and here is Agent Smith, there are 2 minors, what are you going to do with them? Or you might have a D-Day, yellow, or you might have an immediate in red. So those cards are the elements in the game, and there are different type of cards. Now, let's say that you have an earthquake and your incident action plan starts with performing a quick hazard survey. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the field action cards. So these cards are the cards for ops. So ops will have all these cards sitting there, and we say, okay, I'm going to run a quick hazard survey. So I'm going to need 2 people for a quick hazard survey. So I'm going to take Arlie here and Sarah. I'm going to put on the log that they're going on quick hazard survey, and you know what? I might give them some caution tape and a first aid kit because that might be useful. Let me give them that caution tape. Okay. So now I've prepared my action, and I'm going to put, as the chief ops or as a scribe, I'm going to put the field action into the field here. So that means that there is a team in the field performing a quick hazard survey. I might want as well, I have removed the map for clarity here, but if I have a map, I might want to use a token here for a team, which can indicate that, well, I have team 3 running somewhere, and I can track them where they are on quick hazard survey. But that's at the discretion of the game. Okay. Now, one thing that is very important, which I see every time people play the game first, what's going to happen is that, okay, the quick hazard survey is coming, and as the master of the game, at some point I'm going to decide, okay, well, the team is returning, so I am going to give the team the form from the quick hazard survey team filled in and said, okay, take the card, take the board, and said, okay, operation, your team has returned. What are you going to do? So operation at that time should obviously look at the form, probably give the form to the IC or to planning, and should also say, well, what am I going to do with the resources that I had? So the equipment and supply, I could send them back to logistics, but what's the point? I might need them. So I'm going to put them on my stack here in the ops section, and same with the personnel. I'm going to take a note that the team has returned, so Arlie and Sarah are no more doing quick hazard survey, but I'm going to keep them into this stack. Now, should Harley said, you know what, I want to leave the game, I want to go back home and see my family, then you transfer Harley from here to logistics, and logistics can then look at the master check-in, check-out form and check out Harley, and then Harley can give the game. So you see that the idea here is really to insist on, I'm giving you some events, you're triggering some actions that you launch in the field, then those actions complete with an answer, and that goes back to ops. So all the people have to do in the game is process the event and process the flows. They don't have to care so much on how the actions are done. They're just going to send the action and they will receive the result. That's the idea behind the game, so that they can concentrate on making sure that people are accounted, that the result of actions are documented, and that decisions are being made based on the scenario. That's the way it works. So since we're here and we haven't covered that, we can look at the post-it here. So let's say that I'm Dimitri and I am going to be the IC. So what I do is I'm going to put my name Dimitri here on the post-it note, take the post-it note and stuck it here and the chief name on the IC. So then I know who is which and we can keep the name all around here. So these are the basic of ICSLand, the inbox, the field action tracker, the field actions and the different cards that goes into those field actions and get into the field and return with the scenario game. So that's the way the workflow should function. So a few tips. Make sure again that the chief, I said that in introduction videos, but that the chief are really positioned properly around the board, because in the beginnings they're going to come and they will be sitting somewhere and one will be the IC and the other one will be ops. Make sure they go around and the 4 chiefs are in the center. Scribe here, scribe here, scribe here. Actually, scribe for ops being in front of the field action tracker is usually the best thing to do, because the ops person, the ops chief will decide, but most of the legwork will be done by the scribe here. And somebody should look at the event box. Usually it's the IC or it could be ops, because IC and ops are really the most important people in the incident command system. So that's wrap it up for this video of how to play the game. In the next section, we're going to be looking at the forms.